Today, on the first edition of Locked On Arizona Cardinals Squad Show, is this truly a make or break year for Kyler Murray? What does that mean? What do we need to see from the guy? What does that actually look like? Also, after an A-plus Cardinals offseason, as well as what is the Cardinals' biggest weakness and who is the Cardinals' toughest opponent going into this season in the NFC West. Let's talk about it next.
Rise up, Red Sea. It's the Cardinals Squad. Sponsored by Game Time. Everything Arizona Cardinals every week. Covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from the Valley of the Sun. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. Gear up and squad up. The Cardinals Squad Show starts now.
Welcome into the very first edition of the Arizona Cardinals Locked On Squad Show. My name is Benjamin Garcia, host of the Ben Garcia Show Monday through Thursdays on YouTube at 7 a.m., as well as a credentialed Arizona Cardinals media member. Joining me today are my guys, Alex Clancy from your regularly scheduled Locked On Cardinals program, and Jamil Douglas, who needs no further introduction, former Arizona State football player, as well as NFL offensive lineman. And I'm not going to let him sneak away with the fact that he is a former Super Bowl champion. Alex is going to have to live up to that as well. What's up, fellas? How we doing?
Yo, man, good, man. Feeling good. Ready to get it going for sure.
You know, it's funny. I sitting here making sure everything is ready for the show, getting everything planned out, trying to be the perfect one out of us three. And what do? Just totally screw up the audio at the beginning of it. But listen, that's just life. That's how things start. To start the show, let's kick off things on the Arizona Cardinals first edition of the Squad Show. Let's start here. I thought it'd be fun to play the hits for the first episode. We can dive deeper into the offseason, what do we want to see from training camp, all those things. But let's get our big opinions on the Arizona Cardinals franchise quarterback. It's obviously a make or break season. For most Cardinals fans would think so. However, what does that look like? I took a clip from the Monday Morning Quarterback with Albert Breer and Connor Orr, and they kind of described what it looks like for the Cardinals right now. Take a listen.
My fear for Arizona is that you just sleepwalk your way through 9 or 10 years with this guy, and you're no better or worse off for it.
The other question is, what sort of opportunity do you have to replace him? Which is, and have you made the roster too good to replace him with a high draft pick? I don't know. I think that part of it's interesting.
That part of it's interesting too. But I think that you need to come out of this year knowing that Kyler is your guy, and I don't want to hear
knowing that he's not,
So the Cardinals need to come out with this season knowing if Kyler Murray is their guy or not. That is the question. Instead of just asking if it's a make or break season for Kyler, what does that season look like? What does a make it season look like for Kyler? I'll start with you, Alex.
The last 2 months, that's been the biggest hole in his, development as a quarterback, regardless of who the head coach has been and their ineptitude or lack thereof. The new regime obviously has a much more direct journey towards relevancy than the last. When it comes down to it in 2025, does he win more games for the Cardinals than he loses for them? And that comes down to his floor, not his ceiling, because we know what his ceiling is. We've seen it. Very few quarterbacks in the NFL can reach the ceiling that Kyler Murray has. But this offense looks like the bottom three offense, way too much since Kyler took over in 2019. So for me, good enough. What the make it year is 10 plus wins, his ceiling rises, and he is the reason why they win much more than the reason why he loses, especially during the last 8 weeks of the year.
Jamil?
Yeah, I agree with Alex as far as when it comes to the wins. I think we want to see them get 10 wins. And for me, what I would look for out of my quarterback is, can you manage the game? Don't lose the game for me. Can you manage the game to where, we can make a play at the end of the game and come out with a win? And if you've done that and we don't come out with the win, I can live with that. I don't know that I want to call it a make or break. I do think that you want to have the assurance, though, that you can lean on this guy in the future. I think that's where a lot of the teams in the NFL are. We don't see too many guys get drafted and make an impact right away. So do you want to start with that rebuild, or do you know that you have a guy that has this talent that you just want to see him manage these games and get you in position to get into the playoffs and win these close games.
Yeah, I would kind of agree with a little bit of both of what you guys said. Alex kind of mentioning 10 plus wins, and then you kind of teetering on the fact of like if it is actually a make or break season for Kyler. Because I do think in some senses, yeah, we're going to know if Kyler Murray is the guy that is going to help propel this team to the playoffs. Is he ever going to be Mahomes, Lamar? Like, no, it's year 7. I think we would have already known that by now. I think mostly for me, it's playoff success. It's not enough for me to just get to the playoffs because, like, come on, guys. You know, we look at this Cardinals schedule, and it is littered with should be. No win isn't easy in the NFL, but look at the quarterbacks he's going up against. I couldn't even tell you who the quarterback's going to be for the Saints. It's really just a carousel of a bunch of different guys. Bryce Young, who outplayed Kyler last year. Brock Purdy, who, listen, I'm not sold on him. Sam Darnold, who we'll see what he does outside of Minnesota, and Kevin O'Connell. Tennessee, Cam Ward, Anthony Richardson, and then Jordan Love. I think Jordan Love is his toughest quarterback up until week 7. And I bet if I went around the panel, not everyone would agree with Jordan Love being awesome. I think for me, ultimately, it's can you get to the playoffs and can you win a game? Can you be serviceable in that game? I don't think it's enough for Kyler Murray to just win that first playoff game. I'm sorry, to get to the playoffs, but look bad doing it. I guess I would kind of ask the panel, like, do you guys agree with that? Like, we saw Kyler make the playoffs before. I don't think the question is, can you get to the playoffs? I think some of it is also, what does it look like when you get there?
I think with what we saw with Jalen Hurts, not directly comparing the two, but at least correlatively speaking, that's the best roster outside of the quarterback we've seen in a while in the Super Bowl. 1-21, and then you add Jalen Hurts on top of it. What the Cardinals have is the best roster Kyler Murray has ever had in his life, from Pop Warner when he was playing linebacker to now. So for me, like Jamil alluded to this, your quarterback, and this isn't like, go with me here, like your quarterback doesn't need to absolutely be your best player every down. Your quarterback needs to be, and this is, needs to be an elite game manager who gets it done on 3rd and 8 when you need him to. And I think a lot of times, like Patrick Mahomes ruins it for everybody. Josh Allen ruins it for everybody. Lamar Jackson, that's not what normal quarterback play is. Those guys are so elite, and they're so still in the wake of Tom Brady that it's getting weakened. And when you look at what Kyler Murray's doing, when he's great, he's in that room with them. So you just need to find a way to get there. And I don't think it's as simple as you win a playoff game or not. I think one thing we do need to remove ourselves from is, 2021, the underhanded pick 6 in the playoffs. He was a child compared to where he is now, and there was no direction with his organization. So, yeah, winning a playoff game I think would get him there. But if they win 10 games and lose a playoff game by a field goal, I don't see how you don't run it back.
You have to. You have to in that situation. You have to. If you get to the playoffs with Kyler Murray this year and they lose in the first round, it's almost you're raising the ceiling in a sense. Okay, now we got something under our belt. Let's give it another go. And then I think we can call it a make or break. But I do think this year is super important for Kyler, man. I would love to see him have the success. I just feel like we need to be shown that he can be consistently that guy that everyone wants him to be.
I also appreciate you guys not telling me that my microphone wasn't on the entire time, so that is awesome. The chemistry is going great here on this show. Got that fixed out now at this point. But, I guess I would ask now, is there any objection? Because you guys have kind of danced around it a little bit, and I didn't want to go here, but maybe we do need to. Is there any objection to this being like a make or break year for Kyler Murray? Because let me just start here. I don't want to ever go into breaking up with the quarterback and then getting back together with them. This is not an ex-girlfriend that I had years ago. Once I break up with them, like that's the decision you need to make. Kyler's done. And I got to be honest with you guys. After the second Seattle Seahawks game last year, where everyone wants to blame Drew Petzing, but especially in that first quarter, they cut it loose downfield. Kyler threw 2 atrocious interceptions. They still could have won that game, and they lost. And that showed me the clear limitations on Kyler. It doesn't tell me that he for the future references, can't be the guy that takes him to the playoffs year in and year out. But it did tell me there were real limitations on him, and then it takes me to this season of like, he's got to play consistent football. For the first time in his career, he needs to come out and be the same quarterback he was in week 1, and then, of course, smarter and more developed in week 17. But there can't be a steep drop-off. Is there any objection? We'll go with Jamil first, that this is kind of a make or break season for Kyler, especially with all the quarterbacks you've played with in your time?
I seriously don't think it's a make or break season. I think you want to see some life out of him, though. I think you want to see him develop as a quarterback, develop as a leader. Those mistakes are going to happen. Obviously, the 2 picks in the Seahawks game, in the second game that they played him, you don't want to see those mistakes back to back. But I don't think that Kyler Murray is one of these quarterbacks that you can just write off. Like, he's not at the end of his – when it comes to the talent that he has and how versatile he is. I do think that if he were to be somewhere else, he's going to have success at some point in his career. So I don't want to call it a make or break season because I just don't feel like you can write the guy off like that. I think that he has a lot of things that go in his favor, but he does need to take that next step in terms of being a savvy vet and making those plays that get his team in position to win.
Yeah, I mean, there are a couple caveats where I'd absolutely say, yes, it's a make or break here. One, if he misses more than 3 or 4 games, we're going to have that conversation. Is it worth, would you rather have Kyler Murray for 12 games or just would you rather have Tua for 17? Would you rather have a better player for less games or a weaker player for all the games? And I just threw Tua out there as an example. That's one for me. If he misses over half the season with an injury, that could be a hard pass. I don't think it's going to happen. I think his body's adapted at this point. He took that hit against whoever came off the edge against the Jets where his body fell out of his body and he got up and he smiled. He's like, let's roll. He's grown up in that regard. Look at what Steph Curry did in the NBA. He was a rolling ankle every game and he missed time and he missed time and he missed time. And then his body adapted to the next level of football. So that's one for me. I don't think it's going to happen, but that's one. The biggest one for me where it'd be a make or break is if the offense is the reason they're losing games. That's it. And you don't know what that is until you see it. We don't know what the offensive play calling was like last year, specifically predicated upon having a less than stellar talent level on defense. Were they running the ball more to eat clock, to be able to allow the defense to rest up? Were they doing that specifically to keep the defense off the field? We don't know. But what we do know is this year, we'll see if it's a make or break year on the field, weeks 1 through 17. It'll be a no doubt about it situation, in my opinion. I don't think there's going to be a gray area. If they go 9-8, I think you look at record. If he is a fringe MVP guy for the first 12 or 13 weeks and he has a terrible last end of the season, you have a different conversation about that. But he's a different cat, man, and you got to kind of gauge it differently. He's not just a pocket quarterback. You can look at just numbers. Right?
Jamil, were you going to say something before that? No, I would agree with you. Kyler does so many things that you watch what he does on the field and you're like, there's at one play, I'll see the 2-point conversion against the the Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah.
Where he'll run around for 30 seconds, shake off Max Crosby and score. And I'm like, or the throw against to Marvin Harrison Jr. going down the field against the 49ers on 4th and I think it was 8th. The whole team knew you needed to pass, and you threw the ball Marvin Harrison Jr. on the road, got the first down. You ended up scoring there and winning the game. I see those plays, and I say, do you move on from this guy? And then I watch the Seattle game, and it's different. But, Jamil, were you going to say something before we move on?
No, I wasn't going to say anything. That's the exact point I was going to make. It's the flashes that you get that kind of want you to hold on to what he can possibly be for you. It's the big plays that he makes, the toughness that he showed versus the Jets. You get hit like that and you bounce up and you show that, you're ready. You talk a little smack. That's a good sign in my eyes. So I want to see that from my quarterback. I want to see him grow as a leader and kind of build around build the team around him.
Kyler Murray, make or break season, maybe a little bit of skepticism there, but overall, I think we can all agree there's got to be some semblance of a playoff season. And if the Cardinals don't make it, it can't be his fault that they didn't make it. Let's move on to something else here. The Arizona Cardinals, I think we would all agree, nailed the draft, had a stellar free agency, nitpicking what guys fit their roster, but it can't all be sunshine and rainbows. What is the biggest weakness on the Arizona Cardinals right now? Let's talk about that next. First, today's show is brought to you by Game Time. Have you ever decided at the last minute to head to a ball game with friends or family? Maybe it's game day and you suddenly realize you want to be in the stands. That's exactly where Game Time comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last minute tickets without the stress. With the money you save on Game Time, you could splurge on food, drinks, merch, or even invite a bigger group to come with you. With Game Time, everything is made possible. Game Time makes buying tickets fast and simple. Prices on the app actually drop the closer you get to first pitch, and they've got incredible last-minute deals, clear seat views, and a lowest price guaranteed that takes the worrying out of buying. If I'm being honest with you guys, I use Game Time for legitimately everything. I used Game Time when I went to a Blink-182 concert about 2 years ago. I used Game Time when I went to the Diamondback game just a few days ago. What I love about Game Time is that right when they said before, as the game gets closer, as the event gets closer, ticket prices tend to drop, as well as giving me a clear view of where I'll be sitting and allowing me to know, am I going to be sitting behind a foul pole? Is my view going to be obstructed? With Game Time, you can see where you're going to sit before you actually buy the ticket. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use Locked On NFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON NFL for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. All right, guys. Continuing on with the first ever edition of the Arizona Cardinals Squad Show. Reminder, guys, we will be here twice a week, likely coming on Thursday, your second show this week. You know, we would all agree that I think the Cardinals had a pretty good offseason. Even if you have some nitpicks with the draft or you have some nitpicks in free agency, I think we would all agree the Cardinals at least passed free agency. But there's always a weak link. I'll start here with Jamil since I started last time with Alex first. What would you say right now is the Cardinals' biggest weakness in their roster right now that could potentially be exploited?
Well, I think from my standpoint, just going off of last year, and I think they addressed this in free agency and in the draft, but to me, going off of last year, it had to be the pass rush. They didn't get home to the quarterback enough. And that's something that makes it easier on the back end for the defensive backs to make plays. Obviously, turning the ball over, giving your offense more chances. But, you know, you go out and get Calais Campbell, you get Sweat, you draft Nolan. I think they told us what they believed to be their weakness, and it was up front on the defensive line. That was pretty obvious to me. So I would have to say up front is something that they addressed. But still, because we haven't seen it yet, I would say defensive front is probably where I'm most unsure about right now. You're on mute, Alex.
Muted,
just like in a Zoom class in 2020.
Well, here's the thing. You know, when people are doing a live read, it's respectful. Okay, welcome to Podcasting 101. I'm an idiot, and here we go. So, for me, I agree with the pass rush. I'm not saying it's the weakness now, but you're an injury away from having a room full of dudes who haven't proven anything in the league yet, aside from Josh Sweat. Baron Browning is, good vet. He's going to be great for the room. You hope that Bija Ojulari is a dude that can come in and be 80% of what you expected when they drafted him a couple years ago. More than likely, D-Rob's going to be moving inside after putting on all that weight. Zaven Collins, anybody that still believes in what Zaven Collins can do on a snap-to-snap basis, I'll have whatever you're having after work because I don't think that's something that you really can do. Again, great locker room dude, but not somebody you can really rely upon, to make a real impact push up front. For me, it's the off-ball linebacker spot, and I think, they brought in Akeem Davis-Gaither from Cincinnati, who was somewhat of a cap casualty, but also kind of a rotational piece. They drafted Cody Simon, who I think should be the green dot day one if he can win the role in camp. And they've got Owen Pappo, who's been in the system for a few years, been with the Cardinals for a bit. But the beauty of this with Mac Wilson there, and we saw some flashes from him last year, whether it be exotic blitzes or being okay in coverage, is that is the most cocooned position, on the entire defense, where you've got a DB room and a secondary as a whole that is stronger than maybe it's been in 20 years. And you've got the interior defensive line. You've got the pass rush. Like, if you needed a spot that was weak, having an off-ball linebacker spot being that is probably the best of all evils. So I think, Cody Simon, I think, will jump in defensive MVP of the, national championship game. He got the last two with him and Will Johnson. A weakness, what we used to describe on this roster, is a far cry from what a weakness looks like now with how strong the defense is.
Wow, that's really interesting. I didn't expect anyone to kind of mention the pass rush, although it's a good place to kind of dive around. I've got an idea of what I think the Cardinals' biggest weakness can be and exposed, especially with injuries. But on the pass rush, I just feel kind of better about it. Listen, I know Josh Sweat might be a tad overpaid, but that's what free agency is. You're overpaying for what they were, and you're hoping that you're getting a bargain for what they will become. I have my concerns a little bit with Josh Sweat. He was surrounded around some really good talent over with the Eagles. Now, granted, with Jonathan Gannon, he clearly believes in him as well. But I would say the Cardinals pass rush went from legitimately one of the worst in the NFL, especially on paper and talent-wise. And Nick Rawlis and Jonathan Gannon were making chicken salad out of chicken you-know-what, especially in that Vikings game where they were still manufacturing sacks artificially. Is there any worry that the Cardinals don't have like that premier pass rush guy? I think it went from the worst all the way up to, I think it's middle of the pack now, Alex.
Yeah, I mean, the jump is like you went from Dennis Gardeck, who had a handful of sacks before tearing his ACL, as an every down outside linebacker / situational pass rusher. That's where you were at the beginning of last season. So yes, everything is completely different. When it comes to Josh Sweat, when it comes to Dalvin Tomlinson, Calais Campbell, they weren't brought in to be elite. They were brought in to build a front that had the precipice of, the potential to be elite. Defense is built on instinct and trust. And when you look at all the talent the Cardinals have on defense, it's a machine. So one doesn't have to be better than the other. All the pass rush has to do is force more opportunities for this ball-hawking secondary to pick the ball off or have some strip sacks or whatever. Like, that's what Jonathan Gannon says all the time. I don't care about sacks. I want the ball. And this defense is ready to do that. I see in the comments, Jordan Birch, I think, is going to be a fantastic situational bull rusher for the pass rush as well. But yeah, it doesn't have to be perfect. The 0-1 jump is massive from what it was at the beginning of last year.
Yeah, pass rushing is a collective effort. You want to see guys that can get around the edges, and then you want to see guys in the middle that can push the pocket. And that's how you end up with more sacks. That's how you end up with more turnovers. It's a collective effort. I don't think any one person – obviously, yes, you got your major pass rushers out there that can make some noise. But as far as this defense goes, to have these guys in the room, you want to see them collectively work together and get the ball off the quarterback, get more sacks, put other offenses in long down situations. And that's just going to serve your team better overall, special teams, offense, and everything.
Yeah, Joel, I got a question for you. I mean, former interior offensive lineman, you look at this front. Is this a front that you're like, bleep, this is a situation where it's like, are they going to collapse from the inside? Are people going to run free from the outside because of what they're doing on the inside? Like, as a former player, what does this front look to you if you were playing them on Sunday?
Yeah, I think it looks like a front that can be stouter in situations.
Okay.
I think when you look at Nolan from Ole Miss, I think his skill set is very unique. I think that Calais Campbell, obviously, he's in year – I don't know what year it is for Calais, but
I think it's 16.
I played back in 2019, and he was in maybe year 12 or 13 at that time. So the guy is still kicking, and he can still play ball at a high level. I don't think that you can depend on him every down, but what he brings to a defensive line room is a lot more than what he does on the field. I think they addressed it in a way that gives them a chance to compete in their division as far as up front goes. And that's what you want to see. You don't need the big splashes every single time, but you need a collective group that can play hard and win you some games. So I think as an offensive lineman looking at it, it's okay. They got some guys that if they play well together, we got to actually be on top of our game to get the ball moving down the field.
The chat makes a good point with the interior pressure with Jordan Birch or Walter Nolan. It seems like the Cardinals have put a real emphasis on interior pressure. The exterior is fine, right? We used to have guys like Chandler Jones, and that was pretty much it throughout Cardinals history. Dwight Freeney was there for a spell. Like, that's fun. But I always go back to Tom Brady talking about Saxonville, and I think it was Malik Collins, I can't remember, who would consistently get pressure right up the middle. I think that is going to be the secret sauce for the Cardinals this year with Walter Nolan, and especially I think Jordan Burch is going to play a little bit of the inside. Dalvin Tomlinson, Calais Campbell. They put a lot of resources into the interior of that defensive line. That's kind of why I feel better about it. I guess it's not really a question. It's more of so if that right there can be like the secret sauce in the Cardinals defense, where I'm not really looking on the exterior of the defensive line. Maybe Baron Browning can figure it out. Maybe Josh Sweat can figure it out. I'm more looking at those four guys: Calais Campbell, Dalvin Tomlinson, Jordan Burch, Walter Nolan, to kind of get the pressure there and make quarterbacks think twice about stepping up in the pocket. When you can't do that, that's when balls come out with a little less spin on them. And that's why I think turning over the ball is a real priority for the Cardinals. This is something really quickly that I think is a concern for the Cardinals that I'm shocked no one really mentioned. The offensive line, I think right now is potentially the Cardinals' biggest weakness. Like, yes, this line that they have, continuity matters. I like the guys they have. I love Paris Johnson Jr. I think Yoda Froholt is, the most underrated offensive lineman potentially in the NFL. But man, it's like when you talk about Isaiah Adams and you're like, hey, what about the second-year player who we haven't really seen a lot of? And is Kelvin Beachum really going to hold up for his 15th season over at right tackle? We only have 5 more minutes on this next topic, but we can go further if we need to. Any concern from you guys on the offensive line? Jamil, I'll let you. This is your specialty here.
Yeah, and I'm a little biased, because that's what I did. And I hate that we have to go and blame our offensive line. But I think offensive line is always a concern for every team going in. If you're not the Eagles, your offensive line is always being talked about. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where, again, consistency matters when playing offensive line. You want to see the guy. Obviously the run game helps. You get a run game going, now it's easier to pass the ball. It doesn't help when you're down in games or when you're losing games. Everyone's offensive line is going to look terrible. So to me, it's a feel thing, man. We got to see how the plan is going into the season, because we've seen offensive lines operate, without the addressing it in free agency or the draft. We've seen offensive lines have success. So it's just a situational thing that we got to see. And I'm biased because I'm a former offensive lineman. So, hey, there you go.
It took 28 minutes to get Homer talk. It was a position group and not a team. 28 minutes.
Hey, we went further than I thought we were going to go. We went further than I thought.
I'm playing. So, agreed. All the way up to the draft, I said Gray Zabel. I said best offensive lineman available, Josh Simmons, because you have Justin Fry coming over from Ohio State, who is the offensive line coach there, who's now the offensive line coach for the Arizona Cardinals. It made too much sense to bookend with Paris Johnson Jr. Now, with that, Evan Brown played better than many expected last year, even though he got the nod right away. Isaiah Adams, this was the plan all along, it seems, to move him to the right guard spot. Kelvin Beachum, big fundamental. He was called that in high school growing up. Like, the dude is the best signing maybe that Steve Keim made. Okay, like for monetary value, it was 1 year, $2 million, then 2 year, $4 million. Like, the dude's been great. It's great for the locker room. Gave Kyler Murray whatever the opposite of Flowers is when he was being not so great a little bit. Like, he's been great. Jonah Williams is the big one for me, but I agree with you that the question mark's there. And one of my favorite things to say that I've said for a long time is, forever, the best offensive lineman the Arizona Cardinals have is Kyler Murray's legs. This is why you have Kyler Murray as the winner. It's like, okay, do you go offensive lineman at 16, or do you completely re-energize and completely overhaul the defense and take Walter Nolan? Do you overhaul the secondary in the second round by taking Will Johnson? You take the best offensive lineman. The Kyler Murray legs factor is the great equalizer when it comes to this, right? I mean, Jamil, you played with Ryan Tannehill. You played with Taylor Heineke. I was a Taylor Heineke truther for a long time until Atlanta. But you play with Marcus Mariota. You've played with dudes that have similar skill sets, obviously all taller than Kyler, but like, is a mobile quarterback pretty good for an offensive lineman's job?
That mobility is your best friend as an offensive lineman, because and obviously you don't want to miss a block, but if you can somehow run your guy by, or he's able to step up and get out of dodge, that helps build confidence within the offensive line. But yeah, I agree with you on a simple fact of that mobility is the best ability. It's something that Kyler has to play into. I obviously think that the injury that he had it messes with every quarterback when you go down with an injury as far as what you want to do outside of the pocket. But I think he has to lean into the things that make him great and help his offensive line out a little bit. I think that's the biggest thing.
I would totally agree with
help the offensive line out.
Yeah,
always.
Listen, man, I would agree with you. The whole Kyler Murray's legs thing. The reason why, I don't want to make it a Kyler Murray conversation, but he continues to say, I want to run more. I'm going to run more. I've heard the song and dance 15 other times. I want to see Kyler do it. Like, it's a little bit like a cross-sports reference with DeAndre Ayton saying, I'm dominating. I'm going to be awesome. I'm a max player. Like, cool, DeAndre. Don't tell me. Show me. Like, that's kind of where I'm at with Kyler. He's got it. So with that being the case, I look at the statistics I have and that I wish Kyler Murray would run more, and he hasn't really done so. And I have to lean towards the offensive line. That's why I kind of worry about the offensive line. Like, I think Kyler's going to run, but I don't know that to be the case. And, man, I completely forgot about Jonah Williams for a second. I just assumed Kelvin Beachum would be the starter. Jonah Williams, in his limited time at right tackle, wasn't great. Like, it was Kelvin Beachum should have probably been the right tackle, but we kind of just bought ourselves in that idea. So I think the offensive line, way more so than the pass rush, I think is going to be a real emphasis. But it's a good point, Clancy, about Kyler Murray's legs. Listen, there's a lot of quarterbacks that, Lamar Jackson, we all think his offensive line is awesome, and I would say it is. But a lot of it has to do with no one can ever catch the guy. And I go back to that string last year where I think it was like 3 or 4 straight games he wasn't sacked. And then towards the end of the season, it kind of took a tumble. So that's kind of where I would go with that. All right. Let's keep the show rolling. The NFC West is up for the grabs this year. The Cardinals haven't won a division in 10 years, 10 long years. First question, can the Arizona Cardinals actually win the division, as well as who is their biggest competitor? Let's talk about that next. Jamil's probably wondering why that ad roll is so long. It is so devastatingly long and awkward, but we have to roll with it. Listen, this is a paid programming show. Here's the Cardinals 10 years ago, won the NFC West, and I don't think any of us would have thought that was going to be their last one in 10 years. We'll start off here. I guess the question is, can the Arizona Cardinals win the NFC West? Sure. But tell me why you think, even if you don't think that, sell me why on the Arizona Cardinals can win the NFC West. Alex.
Well,
the Homer talk's gone. The Homer talk is gone.
The thing that sucks about this conversation specifically, and I will answer you, is the Cardinals were a coin flip away from having the San Francisco 49ers schedule. It didn't matter. Week 18, it was already done. Which would have maybe made them a minus favorite to get there. I think that's the only reason why the 49ers are +1, whatever it is. I think that at the best capability of all 4 quarterbacks in the NFC West, Kyler Murray and Matthew Stafford are 1 and 1A. They have the highest ceilings for any given moment. I think Sam Darnold stole $30 million from Seattle. I think Brock Purdy is predicated upon Trent Williams, who I think, does Trent Williams get like discounts at movies now? Like, where is he at? Where is he at? He's got to be in his 40s. Like, him and Christian McCaffrey, they have to play every game together for the 49ers to win. Like, that, they don't win if both those guys aren't on the field. I know Kyler Murray doesn't have the track record that Matthew Stafford does. And I know that Devontae Adams is there. I know Puka is great. I know Sean McVay is the best coach in the division. The Cardinals may have the best 1 to 22 starter roster in the division. And I think for pure talent and future pacing talent alone, I think that's enough. It's close. I don't think there's for sure they're going to win the division. But if you told me they finished 10-6 or 11-5 and won the division, yeah. I mean, I'd be like, okay. Everybody must play really well, and Kyler Murray must be getting MVP votes at that point.
Jamil?
Yeah. Man, you really went for it. This is my issue. Yes, chill peasy. Rams are the biggest threat.
Mm-hmm.
The consistency of the Rams getting to where they need to go every year, no matter how they start out, they can be 2-7. It doesn't matter. They figure out a way to get it done. I think Matt Stafford is one of the most underrated quarterbacks, one of the most underappreciated quarterbacks that we've seen, just given how good he is at leading a team, and that's something that's underrated. The Cardinals, to me, what you said is if they go 10-6 or 11-5, whatever the case may be, Kyler Murray is in the MVP conversation. That scares me just a little bit. Just off the simple fact of, like, does he have to play at an MVP level for them to get to where they need to go?
Yeah.
And that's the hard part for me to say, okay, well, yes, they have an opportunity to win this division, because if Kyler Murray has to be Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen or Pat Mahomes, do you get what I'm getting at? That makes it tough for me to say, okay, yeah, they can go ahead and do this.
Yeah. I don't think it's unfair though, man. Like I think it is, like, we can talk about like the biggest threats and maybe kind of go through each team. I think the Cardinals can absolutely win the NFC West, but like kind of going into the next question on who's the biggest threat, they shouldn't be the betting favorites, because the Cardinals on paper, I would agree with Clancy. 1 through 22, I don't really necessarily know how close it is. Like, the other teams are really top heavy. The Rams got Matt Stafford. I wouldn't necessarily say 1A and 1B, even at their best, because Matt Stafford has won a Super Bowl. And I don't know if we've necessarily seen Kyler at his best consistently. So I would say Matt Stafford's the best quarterback and the best coach, Sean McVay. So I say those two together already puts those guys on a different level. Devontae Adams, like, I think is still a very good wide receiver, but like, does he scare me? I watched Garrett Williams clamp him last year. I don't think it was that big of an issue. Puka Nacua, injuries have been a concern for him. Kyron Williams, I don't know. Running backs, sometimes fall off a cliff for no reason. And defensively, I think this is where the Rams are really nasty. They've got a bunch of young guys. Jared Verse was awesome last year. I think they're ready to take like that next leap, not for maybe being like 85 Bears, but being a very serviceable defense. And when you have a coach like Sean McVay, who's got, I know, guys under him that are very smart, scheming up things against Kyler, like, I worry about that. So the Cardinals, because their schedule is so easy, it's not as easy as the 49ers, who will only be contenders for the NFC West because their schedule is like, it is absolutely a joke. They should be favored in every game they're in. The only difference between the Cardinals and the Niners schedule is the Cardinals play Joe Burrow. I would say the Cardinals should be the second most favored team to win this division, but you just look at the Rams and you see what they have accomplished. And last year, when I think they were 1-3, I buried them. I put the headstone up, and it didn't work out. So ultimately, until the Cardinals can do it, they beat them once last year. Granted, the Rams didn't look great at the beginning of the year. The Rams should be the team that the Cardinals are eyeing. So, we can go through the other teams as well, but Clancy, I mean, would you agree the Rams are the biggest threat here? I know Jamil agrees.
No, yeah, because Stafford is still the best. Like, he's still the best. I'm saying if Kyler at his absolute vacuum high can rival that, I think he leapfrogs Brock Purdy. I think he leapfrogs Sam Darnold in that respect, and it's just a two-person race. When you look at the defense for the Rams, the differentiation between the two is they don't have a Dalvin Tomlinson and Calais Campbell and Josh Sweat. They've got a bunch of young dudes who really have emerged, like Jared Verse, Braden Fisk. Like, they stole both those players. I thought that the Cardinals should have traded back and drafted Jared Verse instead of taking, like, I love Jared Verse, and it sucks that he's here just right when Aaron Donald leaves. It's I know they didn't play the same exact position, but still, it's wreaking havoc.
Yeah.
If things go in the the snowballing trajectory of what it looks like it's been year over year for the Cardinals, I think they have the highest ceiling. And you're right, everybody else is pretty top heavy. Like, the 49ers are an old Cardinals roster. They got like 4 all-pros and then some dudes. And you could say the same about the Rams, and one of them happens to be their quarterback. But they were a 4th down drop away from beating Philly in the snow to get to the Super Bowl, which is bananas from where they started. So you're right. I mean, It's a weird division. Anybody can win it.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I think that when you look at the Seahawks, we don't know what Sam Darnold is going to look like. You know, he revived his career last year. We're curious to see if that was a Kevin O'Connell great coaching job. Obviously, we know that he had to make plays as well, but we're curious to see what that looks like with the Seahawks. And then you look at the Niners, lose a ton of vets, pay Brock Purdy. We get to really see what Brock Purdy is about this year. You take that amount of bag. We got to see if you're going to be at the top of your game. So you have to say, okay, Kyler Murray's going into his. I know he was hurt 1 year, but he's going into the third year within this system. Familiarity is there. The only other team that's there that has been consistently who they are is the Rams. So I would say, you would think that he would be up there competing with the Rams. I just think that what the Rams have done year in and year out, like you said, going to Philly and playing in the snow and being a play away from winning that game. Can we see that coming out of Kyler Murray? Can we see that kind of leadership coming out of him? I don't know. That's the question.
Let's dive into the 49ers really quickly, because I think it would be unfair to just kind of write them off, because Brock Purdy has played in 2 Super Bowls. Like, listen, I would take Kyler at their best. I would take Kyler Murray over Brock Purdy. I actually don't think that one is necessarily super close. I think when you pair Brock Purdy with the Avengers and Kyle Shanahan, he does look pretty good. And to his credit, he has looked really good. Like, Kyler Murray has not been consistent as Brock Purdy has been. Now in the playoffs, there's been a little bit of worry about Brock Purdy, where everyone just kind of forgets that he should have lost the Green Bay Packers game. He wasn't good in the very next game against the Lions. So, like, there's that worry. But I think we can all agree that the Niners are maybe not. Maybe I'm speaking too much as a fan here. But I guess I don't even want to call it veterans. I want to call it AARP. Like Christian McCaffrey, his injury last year, they're just kind of swept it under the rug. Like, he had an Achilles injury where he had to go to Germany to get therapy for it. And then same with guys like George Kittle. Like, we all assume George Kittle's going to be awesome this year. But, like, I think, if I'm not mistaken, he's 32 this year. Like, at some point, that, like, not everyone is Antonio Gates and plays forever. And defensively, sure, man, you add Robert Saleh to it, but that defense, no Charvarius Ward anymore, and I've had to let go of guys in the past. It's just not a big worry for me. I guess the real question is, like, between the San Francisco 49ers and the Seattle Seahawks, who scares you more?
49ers.
49ers even more?
Yeah. I mean, these guys are gladiators, man. Like, George Kittle's like an 8-year-old wrestler who's dressing up as a wrestler on Halloween playing tight end. Like, the dude, he doesn't think the way normal people think about football. He's smiling and he's eating your lunch at the same time. Like this is something, like, if you were to ask me George Kittle or Trey McBride for 2025, I'm still taking George Kittle. Like, it hasn't happened yet. It's on the precipice of George Kittle's probably the best tight end in football still, especially with Brock Purdy healthy. You agree? Like, Trey's there, but just because he had
that's fair.
111 receptions last year, he's had 6 touchdowns in 3 years. Those are the numbers. George Kittle needs to be schemed around. Trey McBride now does and did last year, but
can you double? I guess I would say, like, can you take him out of games now? Because it's Ricky Pearsall and Brandon Ayuk off of a torn ACL, and, like, Brandon Ayuk, like, we don't want this to happen. Like, I can't believe I have to continue to say that, but, like, we would hope the guy has a long career, especially former ASU guy, but, like, we don't know. He could not come back the same guy. And as well with Ricky Pearsall, I think it was all kind of agreed upon. They kind of reached for him as well, former ASU guy. Yeah. Like, can you just take a 32-year George Kittle out of the game a little bit easier?
Essentially, yes. You can,
But will you?
I think it's a bunch of question marks with the 49ers offense. It's how healthy is Christian McCaffrey going to be? Within that system that Shanahan runs, it's very predicated on who is in the game and who is out the game. Yeah. If the O-line's healthy, you can almost get the ball to anybody if the O-line is healthy, because it's a lot of run, play action, taking shots down the field, a lot of creativity. And I think with the injuries in the last couple of years, we've seen that kind of dwindle a little bit, just the style of play with the 49ers. So I'm curious to see it as well, guys. I don't know.
Yeah, because, the first and second option for the offense is Christian McCaffrey. Like, they run the ball, they pass the ball. To answer your question, if Christian McCaffrey's on the field, probably not. If Christian McCaffrey's off the field, yeah, you could bracket coverage him and just, even though he runs every route in the book, you just do it. Like, it wasn't meant to be like this incredibly, profound thing. I just think George Kittle has shown over the last 2 years the most consistency from the position. That's directly correlated to scoring points and winning games. Trey McBride had 2 touchdowns last year. He had 4, but he had 2 pass-catching touchdowns.
I mean, Trey can't throw himself the ball in the end zone.
No, that's true. That's true.
You know what I'm saying? We
got the Julio Jones treatment in the end zone.
How many receptions? How many receptions did he have?
111. It was a lot.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he can't. At some point, I mean, I watched a couple games where he's on the brink of scoring, and it just doesn't happen. Or everyone's saying throw the ball to Trey, and it doesn't happen. The guy is a playmaker. He is. When you look at the style of play, he plays like a Kittle. He runs routes like a Travis Kelce. Like, he is one of those guys that you have to respect on the field just in a short amount of time that we've heard his name emerge. So I don't know if I would take Kittle over Trey McBride right now. That's a good comparison, but I think the young legs and the young dog in Trey McBride kind of intrigues me more from a ceiling standpoint, because we haven't seen him utilized in the red zone the right way yet. I mean, 111 receptions. Get this guy the ball in the red zone. Let's see him really show out.
I don't know if you guys have ever seen Trey McBride, but he's listed at this is just so random, but why the hell not? He's 6'2". That dude is not 6'2". I've seen right next to that guy, Michael Wilson. People are lying about their heights on the Arizona Cardinals depth chart. Maybe they're measuring them in cleats. I don't know what it is, but I felt like that was the right necessary time to share that. That dude it is insane how good Trey McBride is at his height and weight. Yeah, maybe, weight maybe not fair, but height, the guy zooming around other people, feels like he shouldn't be that difficult to guard. Let me ask you guys this so we can move on to our final topic of the day. Just rank it for me really quickly. This is not a prediction. This is not us saying this is what's going to happen. We've got all through July, all of August, all of September, or half September to make our selections on who's going to win the NFC West. But just give me it right now. I'll start. I'll go Rams, Cardinals, 49ers, 50 feet of crap, Seattle Seahawks. Alex, over to you.
I mean, I'm arguing with myself here. I'd probably put the Cardinals third. I'd still take the 49ers with the record. We've seen it. They win games, they stack games, and I take the Rams first. I mean, the conversation initially was, can the Cardinals win the division? 1,000,000%. Will they? That's going to be on Kyler and putting it all together. But I put them third. I put Seattle fourth.
Pretty similar. I would go Rams, Cards, Niners, Seattle. And I'm torn between Niners and Cardinals.
I have a healthy respect for Mike McDonald. I think all of us are saying, just to kind of put a bow on this, we're all saying they can, especially if I have them at second. You have a coin toss between the Niners and the Cardinals for third and second, and Jamil's got it at second too. We're just saying that it's probably more likely at this point in the offseason. I don't know what's going to happen in August. I don't know what's going to happen in September. Maybe the reports that come out that Matt Stafford's arm is fried. But for now, I would assume that that's where we would go with the Cardinals and Niners kind of fighting it out for second place. All right. So the Cardinals have unleashed finally a way to kind of take the bird game from different destination to different destination. And one thing that I would say has been kind of an issue for the Arizona Cardinals over the years has been kind of the fandom, bringing teams to game or bringing fans to games. So Cardinals have came out with a new way to travel with the Redbirds. Let's talk about it next. Nothing like another unnecessary long ad where the only thing we can hear, or ad break where the only thing we can hear is Alex Clancy typing on his computer. He's supposed to be the pro, Jamil, just so we're being clear.
This is what pros do, bro. They do the real stuff. You know?
Yeah. I remember my first podcast show.
So the Arizona Cardinals released a press release today. This came courtesy of actually Alex through his email address, and I think I'm the only one that calls him Alex, and then you go back to calling him Clancy. The Cardinals to offer a first of its kind world-class fan travel experience. Starting the season, the Arizona Cardinals are offering a first of its kind elevated travel experience to give all fans the opportunity to see the team play on the road in unmatched comfort and convenience. In recent years, the number of Cardinal fans who travel to support the team at road games has increased exponentially, said Cardinals owner Michael Bidwell. To meet with the clear demand, and we are introducing Cardinals from Your Travel, which will offer fans an unprecedented opportunity to travel to teams in comfort, style, and convenience, just like the team. I gotta be honest with you guys. When I first saw this, I was kind of, oh, that's pretty cool. You know, I took it a different angle where you guys can kind of take this wherever you go. Last segment, kind of a fun idea to kind of talk about, but it's almost like the Cardinals see an opportunity where they believe they're going. This is my theory. I have a lot of theories. The Cardinals see where they're going to go this year. They think that they have a chance to win the division. They think they have a chance to go to the playoffs, and they believe that going to bring fans to games. I think one thing about Arizona fandom is we will show up if the team is good. And this is a way, I think, for the Cardinals to build lifelong fans where we turn out like Soldier Field. If the Cardinals are bad, they're still really, they still bring in a lot of fans because they had that one really cool trip to Chicago one time with every other Cardinal fan, and they just bought into the culture. I think that's kind of where I see with this, that the Cardinals see where they might be going and want to start turning casual fans into lifelong fans. But, you know, I'll let you guys kind of take it from here. 9 minutes left in the show. Clancy, you first.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm curious what Jamil thinks from a player perspective. If you saw this, like, for me, I'm going to go quick and I'll let you go. Like, I see the sticker price. I understand. Michael Bidwell, it's expensive to fly people in private jets and feed them caviar, whatever the hell he's going to do. Okay. That's like 2% of the fans that are going to be able to afford that. I understand why he's doing it. Why I think it's a bad look. 2 reasons. One, the casitas as a whole was a huge mistake a couple of years ago. The second mistake was not calling them cardcitas. You had a perfect opportunity there and you butchered it. It's right in front of you, you dingle. Like, what are we doing here? But when it comes to this, like, Jamil, I saw your eyes raise immediately when I asked you that. Like, as a player, you see your owner who has zero touch with the everyman reality. He's lived in his ivory tower his entire life and he just doesn't get it. I just don't know if it's a good look or a bad look. I think it's kind of cool, but I'm kind of, okay, cool. 2% of fans can afford this.
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it one bit. I don't like it one bit. Those fans that are paying for that aren't going to they're not going to these games to make noise and make a difference in the crowd. You know, they're going for the experience, the caviar on the jet. They're going for the, you know, the breakfast, the Belgian waffles in the morning. Other than that, I don't like it. It feels a little desperate to me. I don't know. It feels like, you know, if they're going to travel to games, they're going to travel to games and they're going to make noise for the team because the team is winning.
Wow.
And they want to support that. Other than that, to me, as a player, I'll scroll past that. And that's just my honest opinion on it.
Yeah. No,
I think I'm by far the poorest person on this show. I know Jamil's got me. I'm like 95% sure Alex has got me or Clancy's got me. I didn't think it was that expensive. And I'm not going anytime soon. I don't have $2,500 burning a hole in my pocket. I don't have $25 burning a hole in my pocket. The wife gives me $5 allowance each day. And then, you know, sometimes I buy a Gatorade with it. But like, I guess I just saw it differently. I will say though, like this building off of the casitas, the card seats, which is amazing. This is why you're on the show, Clancy.
For sure. The card seats, that's pretty good.
I don't know how they missed that, but I have sat in the seats where the card seats used to be, and that was like an awesome experience to be right there. Like, I'm not going to act like I'm breaking down cover 2 or disguised cover 3 looks, but it was like, oh, that's kind of cool to see the linebacker move there. I thought that was a big, like, massive L for the Arizona Cardinals to get rid of that. I don't know. I guess I just see it a little bit differently where they're trying to offer. Maybe I could see it is a little desperate from that respect of like trying to show fans like, oh, this is what it's like to be like a player. I guess I didn't see it like that, Clancy.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's like, it's just so out of the realm of normalcy for an owner to do. It's just so arbitrary, it seems like. He's got the wrong people around him, or he thinks he's still the smartest person in the room watching film with Cliff and Steve Keim 3 years ago after a loss. Like, it's nothing he does makes sense, aside from everything he's done since firing Cliff and Steve. In between the lines, he's done everything he said he was going to do. Everything else is just kind of like, what? Are we watching like Love? Like, what is going on here? It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, man. Winning cures all. Winning heals all. So you win some games, hey, and then you can start offering things like that. But that's just that's something that winning will take care of. You'll get fans to the game. Don't melt down at the second half of the season or whatever the case may be. You know.
Wait, Jamil, let me ask you this: if you saw this. Like, you have dealt with your fair share of owners. I'm not going to make you rank them, although I really wish you would, because it'd be hilarious to see who was last, but I won't put you on the spot like that.
Appreciate
it. I guess I would ask you, like, what do the players in the locker room say when they see something like this? Is it like, if it's a good owner, and I would point to like the Yorks or the Crafts, or like, oh, even Kraft messes one up every now and then. But when you see Bidwell, with you guys are both kind of taking it like the wrong way, are you guys kind of like, man, our owner is an idiot? Now, I'm not saying you're saying Bidwell is, but is that the locker room talk? Even though I'll personally say
I'll be honest. I think the guys scroll right past something like that. Like, I don't think it has any effect on what the players think. Obviously, I'm a former guy, so I'm looking at it from a standpoint of how would I look at it. But I probably would have scrolled past it as well. Like, you don't even read something like that when it comes out. You know, the guys don't care. The guys don't care. The guys know that the fans will come. You win games, the fans will be in the seats, regardless whether you're on the road or at home.
Yeah, I'm sure the players are looking more at the at the report card every year. Oh, your workout room is from the Mesozoic era. That's great. Oh, and then there's this press release. Oh, it's been in the works for a year. For baloney.
100%.
That's the stuff you guys like with this. I could totally see that. I mean, the one thing I'll give Michael Bidwell credit for, he's trying. Like, he's trying. He's failing, but he's trying. Like, you remember for 8, 10, 12 weeks at a time, we wouldn't see him or Steve Keim on an 8-game losing streak. Like, he's trying. What I've said about Michael Bidwell, and this kind of rings true in most things, is like, used to just be him and Steve Keim, and nobody else knew what the hell was going on. Now he's on the inside looking in. So it's still his company. It's still his organization, but he has other people making the big decisions, and he's just kind of looking over the shoulder, which is growth. This is dumb, but he's trying.
Are you saying he's like a rehab patient in terms of like he was doing dumb things, not doing drugs, but like doing dumb things over and over again? He just relapsed. Like, this is a relapse in his bad judgment.
He's still got training wheels on. I'll tell you what, he ain't flying high on a 2-wheeler yet. But he's trying to reinvent, and you got to give him credit for it a little bit. Like, all joking aside, you got to give him a little. But dude, I mean, Jamil's right. Like, nobody's looking at this.
Yeah, it just seems. Listen, he's trying. Give him credit for trying. It just seems a little desperate to me. I personally don't think that you need to do that to get people to travel with the team. Winning is going to take care of all of that.
Yep.
I don't know about you guys. I am already thinking about a way that I could scavenge around $2,500, see if I can get a advance on my next 5 years allowance from the wife, and see if I can go on this thing. I want to see what it's like. I want to sit next to Bidwell. And as my guy Ivan was saying in the chat, I wonder if they could add me in the owners group chat, and I could also talk about insane things involving people's contracts. Either way, guys, listen, I guess I would say Michael Bidwell is trying, and he's trying. That's as far as I will go when it comes to Michael Bidwell.
One quick thing, like one quick idea. What if you did like a lottery for 2 seats, and it's $20 ticket, 2 lucky people get there, so maybe you get there's got to be something that's not just 250,000 pennies or nothing or whatever the math is. Like there's got to be some way for somebody to win something and really have an experience that you can't necessarily afford.
Clancy, I don't know what your day job is, but you've got Garcia and you've got this idea right here.
That's a layup.
What are we doing?
He could be a great marketing and branding for whoever he wants.
I'm going to send an email to Mark Dalton directly after this saying, hey, I don't know about your marketing department, but I've got just the guy.
They don't want to hear what I have to say. They don't want to hear it.
I was going to say, I don't think Michael Bidwell is going to be great if he's in the interview process with you. However, if you can dodge that interview, I think you might be smooth sailing. All right, guys, that'll wrap us up for our first edition of the Arizona Cardinals Squad Show. We will be doing this again on Thursday. I should have talked with the guys on what time we were going to do that, but hey, we will make an announcement of it. Keep a lookout on Thursday. I will get that stream up Thursday morning so you know the time. But this will be a consistent 2 times a week thing, 2 times during the week. And then later on when the season hits, we'll react to exactly what happened after games. So keep your eye out for that, guys. Appreciate you guys being here. Thank you for making Locked On Cardinals Squad Show your first listen. For your second listen, check out the Locked On NFL Scouting as training camps get closer and moves are being made. Host Kyle Krabs and Joe Marino will make you the most informed NFL fan this season. Find Locked On NFL Scouting on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. That is it for us today, guys. Until Thursday, it's been the Locked On Cardinals Squad Show.